What we want to do is take just a minute and introduce you to the Office Home Model Machine and the functionality of it. But also we want to share with you too that we think it's very important that any time that you're using this device that you also consider using a surge protector. Always a great idea to use it, plug it into your wall or an extension, plug your machine directly into the surge protector. That way it allows you to avoid any type of electrical interruptions that may take place. And again, it helps to protect that you're getting maximum use of the machine. In the Office Model Machine, we have an off-on button, we have a start button, we have an intensity knob, we have two plug-in attachments for the attachments themselves. And I want to give you an example of how that works. With the plug-ins, it really makes no difference which way you plug them in. They're both correct. You can't mess it up, so don't worry if one has to go the other. It makes no difference. The simple way to use this, of course, is to line up the holes so that they line up accordingly. Turn the knob to the right till you hear it snap and lock in place. And again, same thing here. Line the holes up, turn the knob to the right till it snaps and locks in place. Now, when you want to release it, you simply grab it with your thumb, pull it back, and turn it to the left, and it pops right out. Pull it with your thumb, turn it back to the left, and it pops right out. And again, it makes no difference which attachment goes where. The key thing and the most important thing for you to remember is line the holes up and turn it to the right till it snaps and locks in place. Again, line the holes up, turn to the right till it snaps and locks in place. Now you're ready to begin. With that, then at this point in time, you want to turn the power button on. You want to make sure that the intensity knob is turned down to the right, just snug to its lowest setting. You then want to apply the attachment to the individual. You want to hit the power button, and then in turn you want to start bringing the intensity knob back up to the left. And you'll be able to hear this as we go. And again, that's what we want, is we want that pulse so that you can hear it and yet the person that you're applying it to can feel it. Again, we always work at the person's comfort level. A big rule of thumb is oftentimes less is best. Less time spent when you're applying this to an individual and less time as far as the intensity is concerned. So again, we can keep the intensity down, we can turn it up. We'll walk you through the use of that a little bit as we go and start to demonstrate how to use some of the different attachments. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back and we're going to get into how to use the big loop. One of the important things that we recommend and suggest for everybody when using the big loop or any of our attachments is to make sure that if you're working around the neck, please remove any fine jewelry. If you've got any credit cards, cell phones, or programmable car keys in your pockets, we also recommend that you take them out as well. We just simply don't want to demagnetize them if that potential exists. Now again, one of the things that we're going to work with is the demonstration of the big loop. And again, I'm going to turn my power button on. I'm going to make sure my intensity knob is turned down to the right. Again, I've got both my attachments plugged in. And again, it makes no difference which way they go. So this one can be here, that one can be there. You can't mess it up. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate some easy ways for you to use the big loop on the body to offer different types of influences that you might want to use to make it more effective. So if I could have you stand up just 1 minute, I want to show you how we work on sitting on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to just simply put the big loop on the chair, have you sit right down on it so your bottom is centered into it. And then what we're going to do is hit the start button again. Double check the knob is turned to the right. That's my intensity. I'm going to hit the start button. I'm slowly going to turn it up. I want them to feel it. I want it to be comfortable. If it's uncomfortable, then I'm going to turn it back down a little bit to the right. Again, I am turning the intensity knob up to the left. Is that okay right there? Okay, he says that's good. So I'm going to bring it down just a pinch. And again, any time that we're using the big loop to create a center of influence to the body, what we like to do is turn the intensity up to where they can feel it, making it comfortable. We don't want it to make it uncomfortable. Now, there's a 3-minute timer on the Office Home Model Machine. What this will do as it runs its 3-minute course and completes that 3-minute cycle, it'll automatically stop the pulse. It will not power the power button. It will not stop that. We have to physically do that. But after 3 minutes, it will simply stop that pulse, and then we have to reapply it to another part of the body. So for training purposes, we're just going to turn the intensity down. We're going to have you stand up, and now we're going to show you how we work on the low back. And again, I apply it to the low part of the chair like so, have you sit right back against it. And now we're going to do the same thing. I've got my intensity knob turned down to the right. I'm going to hit my green start button. I'm slowly going to bring that intensity up to the left to where he can feel it. Again, I want it comfortable. Is that okay there? You can feel it. It's not uncomfortable. That okay? That okay? Okay. So he can feel it. It's comfortable. I turn it up enough. Now the thing to understand with this type of device, that this magnetic field creates what we call a 3D image to the body. And if you notice, and you can look closely, that's coming through his abdominal area. So the intensity of this pulse is going completely through the body this way. When we were sitting on it, it was coming all the way up that spine area and all the way up into the lower pelvic region this way. So again, we have different influences, different ways that we can use this. Okay, now I'm going to assume again that we've just completed that 3-minute cycle. I'm going to turn it down. How do I apply it around the arm? I'm going to have you stand up 1 minute if you would. Just face me. Okay, and stick your right arm through it. And I'll let you see what it looks like on the back, and then we're going to sit in the chair. Now, if I want to influence this whole shoulder region into the rotator and the deltoid and the trapezius, I can simply do like so. Now I'll have him hold it, have you sit down again in the chair. And again, what we're going to do now on the shoulder, we'll hit the green button to start it. I'll slowly bring the intensity back up to the left to where he can feel it. I want it comfortable. Is that okay right there? Okay. And if you notice from time to time, as we're using this on the body, our center of influence will create a reaction in the muscles and the nerves where you will get a physical response. And that's a good thing, because this will definitely help to go to areas where our body really needs to be influenced the most. So the use of this can be used in a variety of ways. Now, I'm doing this shoulder here. What happens if I go to the other shoulder? Well, let's do that, and let's put the left arm in. Okay, and again, I'm around the back just like you saw in the picture previous. I'm going to hit my green button, and again, I'm going to run another 3-minute session. I'm going to turn it up to where he can feel it. I don't want it uncomfortable. You let me know when it gets uncomfortable. Is that uncomfortable? Okay, I'm going to back it off. How's that? Is that okay? Okay, so we took it to a point where it's a little bit uncomfortable, and then we back it off just a little bit because we want to see that we're creating a reaction here. We want to know that the body is responding to this magnetic field that we're creating, which is a 3-dimensional field. Again, we run 3 minutes and it'll complete its cycle. Now, we work typically when we use this type of treatment and we use this accordingly, we like to work on 9 to 12-minute sessions as we're moving it around the body. In other words, if I want to work on the low pelvic region, I can have him sit on it for 3 minutes. I can do low back for 3 minutes. I can do shoulder for 3 minutes, shoulder for 3 minutes. I'm done. I can sit on for 3 minutes, do the low back for 3 minutes. I can hold that right over the gut if you'd hold it right there. I can do sit on it for 3 minutes, low back for 3 minutes, over the gut for 3 minutes. I could then finish that off and go around the neck for 3 minutes. And again, I've just completed a 12-minute cycle. So keep in mind, as you use this type of 3-dimensional approach to the body, keep in mind what it is that you want to influence. Keep your time sessions down to 9 to 12 minutes. Remember, the machine runs on 3-minute cycles. So I can do a lot of things in 9 to 12 minutes. Sitting on it, the low abdominal area, the chest area, around the neck, each arm through and around the shoulders, along to the back. I can do it lean forward, sit back. I can do it high across the back. So I can do a lot of things in a 9 to 12 minute period of time. The key to it is oftentimes less is best. Less time spent for a greater result, and your intensity, the intensity level to where they're comfortable. They can feel it. And again, we want them to feel it. If you turn the intensity up a little bit and they say, oh, that's just a little bit too much, again, back it off. Turn it down to the right so you've got a little bit less time spent. One of the other things that I like to do when I'm working around the upper torso area, and that's really what the big loop is designed for. The big loop is designed to be used in the upper torso from the hips up. But one of the other things that I like to do is work around, if I'm working around the low back, lean forward, just now sit back. Hold that right across your chest there. And again, I will work my center of influence now this way in the body. And again, I'm working the internal organs are being affected by this three-dimensional approach. If I want to work on the rib cage, I can do it right there like that. I can work that way on the rib cage. We'll show you what it looks like over here in the other arm. I can do low back here, pull it right across and hold it tight. I can, in turn, go right here, and I can treat the rib cage and the lower intestinal area this way. If I want to stick your arm through, if I want another way to affect the chest area and force my three-dimensional treatment to work this way, I can simply lay it over the shoulder and it'll work that way. If I want to go this way, I can simply lay it over the shoulder and again have it affect the whole upper chest region this way. So there's a lot of ways that we can influence the whole upper torso area by sitting on it, low back, on the stomach, around each shoulder, arms through, working around the low back in different ways. Sometimes we like to also work on the hip areas, and I'll show you a couple different ways that we can do that. If you'd stand up, please. What we're going to do is have him sit on it just like that, and we're going to work on that right hip area. Just like that. I'm going to have him hold it right across his lap there. There we go. And we'll do a 3-minute treatment there. And again, that field of influence is working this way through that pelvic region. Again, if I want to do it on the other side, if you would stand up, I can simply set the loop here. And again, we can have him hold this right across his lap. We'll do a 3-minute treatment and affect the pelvic region this way. So again, it depends upon how we want to use the use of the machine, how we want to influence, where we want to send that field of influence into the body. Another thing that you may want to do, if you'd stand up, please, stick your right foot through. This is a way that you can work on the groin area and create this center of influence this way. And again, I'll turn the intensity up with them standing, and we can again influence the whole pelvic region and the hip area this way, low internal organs as well. One of the things that I like to do when I'm using this to influence that hip area is I like to have them step forward with the right leg. If you'd step forward a little bit more, and I will open up that pathway as I'm centering that influence into the hip area. Another thing that you can do after you've done a 3-minute treatment this way, you can then hit the green button and then have them start working through range of motion like this, and we can do another 3-minute session just simply working through range of motion. So again, you have to keep in mind different ways that you want to influence the body using the big loop. You can also take it, if you would, and just sit right back down. And again, we now can do the very same thing, and instead of standing up and working in this position, doing 3 minutes and then turning again and doing 3 minutes working through range of motion, we can also switch legs. You can do 3 minutes in this area, but you can do 3 minutes this way. Sometimes a lot of people that we see use this in the hip and the groin area like to take their body and they like to lift the leg up and they like to rotate the hip and they like to stretch that down while they're working into that low groin, that low hip area. And again, I can do a 3-minute treatment this way. So the use of this is very much left up to you and your imagination. How do you want to influence the body? There's a lot of ways that you can do it. I can do the hip this way. I can have them sit on it and do the hip this way. I can have them sit on the double loop and affect the whole hip this way. I can put it on the low back, on the back side, and affect the hip that way. So in 12 minutes, I've really accomplished a lot. And again, you're better off working in short durations as far as your sessions are concerned, rather than trying to do it for 30 minutes or an hour at a time. That's way too much. Again, you have to keep in mind, this is cellular exercise to the body. You're exercising the cells, you're exercising the nerves, you're exercising the muscles, and because we're doing a lot in the upper torso area, we're really moving around a lot of fluids. So one of the important things that you need to remember is we need to drink a lot of water. It's really like getting a deep tissue body massage. And the one thing that they tell you after a deep tissue massage is drink a lot of water, because they've moved a lot of stuff around. Well, in 9 to 12 minutes, we have, by working in this upper torso, we have moved a lot around. So again, we're exercising a lot of the internal organs. We're exercising a lot of the muscles and the nerves and the cells. With that, again, keep the body hydrated, and it's important that you drink a lot of water. Now with that, what we also want to do is show you another way that you can actually use this as a halo, if you will, in what we call a halo effect, to actually treat the head. Now again, I'm going to have you hold this with both of your hands high above your head. Now I want you to notice that, go ahead and hold it, put your arms up. Now I want you to notice that he's got this quite a ways over the top of his head. I'm going to turn the intensity on, and I'm going to have him bring it down to his head to where he can feel it. Now you let me know when you can feel it. Okay? Okay, now with that, he's in control. He doesn't need me to do it. But you can influence the head in a lot of different ways, just simply by rotating this from front to back, and doing the same thing by going left to right. And again, the key to it is to take your time, let the person, a responsible person, be in control and be in charge of how they want to use this to exercise the cells of the brain. And it's absolutely a phenomenal treatment. I love it. But however, I don't recommend that you use this in the evening right before you're going to go to bed, because what you're doing is you're really exercising the brain cells and you're getting those nerves really fired up. And so you may have a restless night of sleep if you've got the brain excited. This is a great one, though, to use anytime that you want to exercise any portion thereof of your brain for whatever it may be. Okay, now with that, we'll go ahead and stop it. A couple other things that I want you to notice here as I put this around the head, and we showed you this earlier, is we're affecting the body this way. What happens if I want to affect the body this way? Well, I can simply pull this forward and have him sit back in the chair. And now what I've done is I've taken my center of influence and I'm going all the way down this way. Okay? The key to it is keeping in mind that the strongest point is in the middle. What if I want to affect the shoulder? Can I come this way and do the very same thing? Absolutely you can. So again, your center of influence is down this way on top of the trapezius and the deltoid. Again, in the collarbone, same thing over here. I'm forcing my treatment down this way because my strongest point is in the center. So you have to find which ways that you think are going to be most effective for you using the large loop. You have to find the ways in the 9 to 12 minute process that will allow you to create an influence in the body so that you can accomplish the maximum results in a 9 to 12 minute period. Again, the big loop, upper torso area into the hips, the groin. If you want to work on the groin as an example, if you'd stand up 1 second, please. Okay, now just sit right back down and put that right between your legs. Okay. If you want to work into the groin area for both males and females, you can do it just like that. You can pull it right up tight. So you can work right directly into that groin area. So again, you have to just keep in mind what it is that you want to influence, then determine how you want to influence that area using the big loop and doing it in a 9 to 12 minute process. Keep in mind the body's not used to this. The body is not used to this type of deep tissue cellular massage, so it's very effective. It will find areas where you may have issues going on, but keep in mind, big loop, upper torso. Now with that, we're going to get into what we call the butterfly loop or the double loop, and we'll show you how to apply that to the body using the chair as well. What we'd like to do now is introduce you to what we call the butterfly loop or the double loop. And the key thing to remember when you're using this type of attachment, as long as you're maintaining a 90-degree angle with this, you're maintaining 100% effectiveness. When you close it, you've doubled your intensity. If you open it up and you do it this way, you're only getting 10% effectiveness. So again, to maximize the effective use of it, you want to at least stay within that 90-degree angle when you're applying it to different parts of the body. So we're, again, just like plugging in the big loop, it doesn't matter which way you plug it in. Make sure the holes line up, turn it to the right till it snaps and locks in place. Again, line up the holes, turn it to the right till it snaps and locks in place. Now again, I want to remind you, it's very important that if you're working around the neck, take out fine jewelry. If you're working around different parts of the body in the torso areas, take out of your pockets cell phones, credit cards, car keys. We don't want to demagnetize them. Even motel room keys. Take anything out of your pocket that could be disruptive. Same thing, I'm going to turn the intensity back on. I've got my double loop or my butterfly attachment ready to go, and I'm ready to start the use of it on how I want to influence the body. Now this is really designed to help you work from the extremities, from the feet all the way up the leg, from the hand all the way to the shoulder. It's designed to help you work on the shoulder. It's designed to help you work on the neck and at the same time around the head. So just like with the big loop, that big loop covered a bigger area. Now the butterfly loop can actually get tighter into a smaller area and more precise on a specific area that you want to influence. So the use of this is very widespread. You can use it for a lot of things. What we want to do is we want to show you how to use this on the foot as an example. If you would take your shoe off here a minute, and we'll put it right over here. Now as an example, if I want to work on the foot area, I can simply have the person put their foot into it, and I'm creating an influence this way throughout the foot. I can do a 3-minute treatment. I can also turn it to the side and do a 3-minute treatment, and I can affect the foot this way. If I want to work on the heel, I have them place that heel right on that knot, and I call that thing right there the knot or the joint. I have them put the heel right on that joint. Now with the machines, we also include an attachment that allows you to put it in here and tie it off, just wrap it so it'll hold itself in place, and you don't have to hold it, nor does the person that you're working with have to hold it. So again, I will do a 3-minute session here. I'll go up to the back of the heel and I'll put that joint or that knot right on the back of the heel. I'll do a 3-minute session there. I'll come up behind the heel on the low part of that Achilles tendon. I'll do a 3-minute session. And now what I like to do is also work my way up the leg. So again, I can influence the ankle in a lot of different ways, just simply by rotating it and turning it around. I can work my way up the calf, again up the calf, to where I can get clear up to the knee. In a 12-minute session, I can really spend 9 minutes here, and I can work my way up the leg for 3 more minutes, and I can basically be done. Now again, working around extremities, you have to understand and keep in mind, you're working with more ligaments, you're working with more bones, you're working with harder tissue, but at the same time, you're still creating the same movement that's happening up when you're working upper torso with cellular fluids in the body. So again, it's just like cellular exercise. It's important that you continue to drink water. If I want to work on reflex points coming down the leg, I can simply stay behind the knee with my jointed area or my knot here, and I can create an influence down through the foot. I can turn it and create an influence down the foot to the big toe. I can put it straight behind the knee and create an influence all the way down the Achilles tendon. Again, we want to turn the intensity up to where they can feel it as much as they can feel it. We want it comfortable. We don't want it uncomfortable, but we definitely want to see some type of activity happening. Great with people that have issues in the lower extremities that you want to create an influence and you want to increase circulatory points. Working around a knee. I like to work on the knee this way. I like to rotate it over the kneecap, work on the knee this way. I like to center it over the knee this way. And you may even want to center it over the knee this way. Now in 12 minutes, you've just simply completely surrounded that knee, and you've done 4 different uses of this device just working on that knee alone. If you want to work on the quadricep muscle, if you just come off to the edge of the chair, perfect. I can work right on the quadricep muscle, and again, with your device, you get a tie-off that goes on the back side here, and you can just tie that and hold it in place. So I can do 3 minutes here and influence the quadricep there. I can do 3 minutes here and influence that quadricep. I can take it and close it. I can hold it against the leg this way and influence that quadricep. If I want to work the hamstring, I can go right behind the leg, and I can influence the hamstring this way. I can rotate it up the leg, and again influence the hamstring that way. Again, I can do 3, 6, 9 minutes working my way up the leg here and influence the hamstring, and I can do the very same thing in the quadricep muscle. If I want to work on different points in the groin area, I can also do like this, and I can influence it that way. So again, there's lots of different ways that you can work up and down the leg to make this thing work. One of the neat things to keep in mind is the center of influence. If I'm working in an area like this as an example, and I'm influencing this leg and that quad muscle and that whole knee area, just by slight rotation of the attachment, even just 1/4 of an inch, I've completely changed the dynamics within which I am exercising the cells, the nerves, and the muscles. In other words, if my center of influence is this way, and I rotate that just 1/4 of an inch, all of a sudden I've changed the dynamics of how I'm creating that influence. Again, if I rotate it just 1/4 of an inch, I've changed the dynamics of how I'm influencing the cells, the nerves, and the muscles. And again, that's why we call it cellular exercise, because we're exercising that whole area. If I want to get up into the lower groin region and I want to treat that, I can treat it just like this. I can treat it just like this. I can work on the lower area here and do this. If I want to work on the stomach area, I can treat it here. I can treat here. I can treat here. If I want to work under the arm to influence different organs, I can do it this way. If I want to work on the low back, if you'd stand up for me 1 second, I can in turn set it here and have them sit right back against it. Now I've become very specific on an area that might be an area that they want to influence more through the use of the treatment. If you'd stand up, if I need to go center into the back area, now sit back down. Again, I can center that, and it will go right into the area in a more direct fashion than what we're able to do with the big loop. Again, big loop, bigger area, smaller loop, smaller area. If I'm working around the hands, I can take the hand and simply set it inside that double loop or that butterfly loop, just like that. If I want to create a different influence on it, I'll just simply turn it over, and I'll do another 3-minute treatment this way. If I'm working on the wrist, I can do the wrist this way. I can do the wrist this way. The forearm, I can do this way. I can do this way. Into the tricep, the bicep, I can do this way. I can rotate it over and do this way. If I want to work on the circulation areas, I stick your arm through, I can work it up into the arm, and I can do just like that. Put the arm back down, there. So I can work on the circulatory points. If I want to work on the shoulder, on the deltoid, I can put it over the shoulder this way. If I want to get up on the trapezius, I can simply move it up here, do it this way. I can go higher on the neck, do it this way. If I want to treat the chest muscles, if I want to exercise them, I can lay that right over the chest this way or this way. If I want to influence the back of the neck, I want you to grab this, pull it tight and underneath your chin. Lift your chin up. Okay, he can hold it in place. We can influence the back of the neck. We're also influencing the glands in the neck as well. Let go. If I want to work on, lift your chin. If I want to work on high in the chest, I can also do like this. If I want to work around side of the head, I can do the side of the head this way. I can work up on top of the head this way. I can work on the front of the head this way. I can work on the side of the head this way. I can go over here to the ear and the jaw this way. If I want to influence the face or the sinuses, I can hold it directly over the face this way. I can turn it this way. I can turn it this way. Or I can even lay it over the head and do it this way. So I can slide it forward and I can treat this way. I can also take it around in front on the sinuses and I can work it this way. So again, the double loop, butterfly loop, allows you a lot of flexibility to work on the lower torso, to work on the feet, the calves, the knees, the quads, the hams, up to the hips. It allows you to work from the hands to the forearm, to the bicep, tricep, to the shoulder regions. It allows you to get very tight and specific into areas that you want to create an influence on through the use of this. And again, remember, staying at that 90-degree angle, you still maintain 100% effectiveness. If you close it, you can double the intensity and the effectiveness of it. Anytime that you open it up, like so, you're only getting 10% effectiveness. So it really becomes not as effective as what you want to see as far as results are concerned. Again, you can work on the side of the neck, Many influences, many ways that you can work with this double loop or butterfly loop. And again, bigger loop into a bigger area, the smaller loop can get more specific and tighter into areas. Anytime that you're working through the treatment sessions or the use of this, it's always great if you can work through range of motion at the same time. In other words, if my shoulder's my problem, it's always great to work through range of motion while you're doing it. Because working through that range of motion, again, allows us for a more effectiveness when it comes to cellular exercise. So keep that in mind. Range of motion is also very helpful. Hand, put your hand in, work your wrist just a little bit. Again, he can work through range of motion while he's using this on his wrist. Range of motion on forearm. Okay, he can work through range of motion on the forearm. Same thing on the elbow. Range of motion with it on the elbow. So anytime that you can use this type of therapy, if you will, or use of this, you can create a bigger effect into the cells when you're working on cellular exercise simply by working through range of motion. Now with that, we want to get into the use of what we call the long cord, and we'll show you how to use that in a chair and influence different parts of the body. We'll be right back. Now remember, we just reviewed how to use the butterfly loop and how it influences different parts of the body. You have to keep in mind that, as an example, if I'm influencing the body this way, I'm going through this way. If I'm treating the hand, I'm influencing the hand or the arm this way. And again, I'm influencing this way. If I'm treating the leg, I'm influencing this way. Again, my influences are going to be different ways. Now what we want to do is we want to get into showing you how to use the long cord so that we can influence the body this way. In other words, we're going to follow the structure of the bones, the ligaments, the blood vessels, arteries in the body. So we're going to do it in a little different fashion. So again, just like previously mentioned with all of our other attachments, if you've got we're working around the neck and you've got a fine necklace on, you may want to remove that. If we're working around the torso area, you've got any credit cards, cell phones, car keys, reprogrammable car keys, motel room keys, you may want to take them out of your pockets, get them off your body, get them out of the way. So what we're going to do, the attachments with the long cord plugs in the very same way as it does with all the other attachments. The only thing that I like to do a little bit different when I'm working with it is I like to make sure as I go that I've got enough room in order to reach the individual and to reach the machine. So what I will do as an example, and we'll show you how to treat the foot. If you take your shoe off for me again. As an example, I'm going to work on the foot. I want to make sure that I've got enough room to get to the machine. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of measure it off and I'll ask him to hold that for me right there. Now you can see that I've got enough room to get there and it's comfortable. So what I'm going to do is I like to start down low and I like to work my way up. So if I want to work around the foot area itself, I'll start low and I'll work my way as I go. So the closer you can keep it together without cutting off circulation, the more effective it will be. And again, if you notice, I'm working my way up the foot. I'm keeping it close together. I'm not too tight, so I'm not cutting off circulation. And again, I work my way up as many times as I can. I've got to make sure when I get there that I got enough room to get to the machine. I do. Now again, with your machine, you'll get a tie-off that'll go in here that you can wrap in. I'm going to use a piece of Velcro just for this demonstration now. But again, I get it on there, and I'll just put it on there snug to hold it in place. You can let go now, put your foot down, and I'm ready to go again. Now again, keep in mind, I'm going to line up my holes. I'm going to turn my attachment to the right till it snaps and locks in place. Line up my holes, turn to the right till it snaps and locks in place. Now I'm ready to begin. I turn my power on, make sure I have plenty of power. My intensity knob is turned to the right. I'm going to hit the green button to start the session, and I'm slowly going to bring the intensity up. Now again, I want to know when you can feel it. You can feel it? Not uncomfortable? Okay. So again, what we're doing now is we're influencing the body this way. And we're working that foot going this way. Once it's completed its 3-minute cycle, it'll automatically quit the pulse. I'll turn the intensity back down to the right. And I'm ready to remove it, and I'm ready to go up a little bit higher on the leg and work in sequence. So what I will do is I'll work 3 minutes here. I'll come and work 3 minutes here. I'll work 3 minutes here, and I'll work 3 minutes here. So in 12 minutes, I can make my way all the way up that leg. If I want to simply work on just the calf region, or if I want to work on that Achilles region, the back of the heel back here, I can wrap it 3 minutes here. I can do 3 minutes here. I can also go to the butterfly loop if I want to at the same time. So not only am I affecting it this way, but I'm also affecting it this way as well. Anytime that I'm working around a knee area, again, I make sure I got plenty of cord to get there. Can you hold that for me? And when I work around a knee area, I'll start below the knee, right high on the calf muscle. So here's the knee right here. So I'll start right high in the calf muscle, and I'll slowly work my way, wrapping it around, keeping it close together. Again, I don't want to cut off circulation, but the closer I can keep it together makes what I'm doing more effective when I'm trying to influence areas of the knee like this. Now the reason I like to start low is because I want to work everything back up out of the leg region. And again, I'll do my wrap here. And I like to start below the knee, and I like to work 3 minutes. Again, making sure that I got enough to get there. I'm good to go. I'll take my little tie, and again, you'll get a tie with your machine. I'll just simply tie it off, hold it in place, then the person doesn't have to worry about it. Again, we plug it in, turn it to the right till it snaps and locks in place. Plug it in, turn to the right, turn the power on. Make sure my intensity is down to the right. Hit the green button. I'm ready to bring it up. Again, you let me know when you can feel it. Okay? Okay. So again, now I can run a 3-minute cycle here working on the knee. What I will do is I'll go 3 minutes below the knee, 3 minutes over the knee, and I'll go 3 minutes above the knee. If I need to do anything else, I can also take the butterfly and I can work around that knee area again with the butterfly too. So I'm influencing the leg this way. Again, keep in mind, this is cellular exercise. Not only are we exercising the cells, but we're exercising the nerves and the muscles as well. So again, that influence is going in a variety of ways. Now, what's nice about it is, once this completes this 3-minute cycle, we can do it again, and now this time work your leg through range of motion. So again, I can do a 3-minute cycle, then I can hit it again and now work through range of motion. And because I'm going through range of motion, I'm actually increasing or affecting those cells in a different capacity. So again, it's just like cellular exercise. Work through range of motion. Let it stimulate and let it go to work. Okay? With that, I can do the very same thing working around the quad and the hamstring muscles at the same time. In other words, I can wrap this around the upper leg. I can do 3 minutes. I can do 3 minutes. You can also take the long cord and work the hands. And we'll show you how to do that in just a second. Okay, now let's say for an example I want to work on the hand itself. Again, I make sure I've got enough to get there. I'll have you hold this right here with your hand. Okay, and I'll just start wrapping around the hand. And again, I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to keep it tight, but yet not too tight to cut off circulation. And I work my way right up the forearm. Now, if I want, I can come back and go back over the hand again. That's no problem. I can work my way right back up. And again, I'll take my tie and I'll tie it off, hold it together. Let me have it. Okay, you can just lay that right on your leg if you want, or on the seat. Again, I line my holes up, turn it to the right till it snaps in place. Snap it in place, turn my power on, turn my intensity down to the right. I hit the green button, and I slowly bring it up to where he can feel it. Can you feel it? Is that okay? Okay. So I can do a 3-minute treatment this way. At the end of the 3-minute cycle, I can hit the green button and do it again, and then have him start working through range of motion. By doing that, I've just created a 6-minute session on that hand wrist area, 3 minutes with it just being still, another 3 minutes working through range of motion to open it up. Once it's completed that, if I want to again work my way up the forearm, I can do so. If you'd hold that for me. If I want to work on it with both the butterfly loop and the long cord, I can do that as well. Again, going up the forearm. Remember, work your way up. Keep it as close together as you can without cutting off circulation. And again, work your way right on up till you can plug in, do a 3-minute treatment. Now, if you want to work on the forearm and work it through range of motion for a second 3-minute treatment, you can do that. Again, keep in mind, this is cellular exercise. If I'm working around the elbow area, I can work here, work around it, and again, working my way up, keeping it close without cutting off circulation. I can work all the way up the elbow, do a 3-minute treatment, then I can work it through range of motion for a second 3-minute treatment. I can do the same thing working around the bicep, tricep, again, working my way up. Now, sometimes working around larger people, like especially athletes, they will be so big in the trapezius, deltoid, upper torso area that in order for me to be more effective, sometimes I have to, and I'm going to go underneath your left arm, I have to use the long cord in order to get around their chest and okay, and I'll do like so. And as long as I got 3 times around, I'm good to go. Okay? All right, so with that, I'll use my Velcro. Again, you get a tie. And I'm just going to tie it off to hold it snug there for a second. I'm ready to plug it in. And again, I'm going to do the same very 3-minute session that I just previously did. Turn my power on, make sure my intensity is down to the right, hit the green button, and I'll slowly start my session here. Is that okay? Okay. A little bit too much. She said back it off. Great. So I back it off a little bit. So again, my center of influence now is going through this way in the body. If I want to affect something else in the body, if I want to, if I'm working with athletes a lot, I want to increase circulation, I want to work on some other things that will help them be more effective in their sport. Whether it's swimming, football, soccer, basketball, baseball, track, field, it makes no difference. Golf, it makes no difference. One of the things that I also like to do is I like to go around the neck, and I'll start very low. And again, I don't want to cut off circulation, but I slowly begin to work my way up. Lift your chin. I'll slowly work my way up. Again, I'm just doing it very light here. Staying underneath the chin. Okay, then I'll just take what's left and I work my way back down. And again, you can think about what different things in the neck area and the neck region am I affecting right here. Okay, so again, I'll do a 3-minute treatment. Once I've completed that session, what I like to do is go right underneath the armpits on the upper chest. So again, you'll have to put your arms up for me. Give me your left one. There we go. Okay, now I want to make sure I got plenty of room. I'm good to go. And I'm going to go right under again, staying right underneath the armpits. One more time. Okay, and I got 3 wraps out of it. Can I get a 4th one? Maybe. Okay, and I'm good to go. All right, I'll do a 3-minute treatment there. Now what I also will do is once I've completed that 3-minute session, I'll have them slide it down their chest just a little bit right there, and I'll sit back and I'll do a 3-minute treatment right there. Once I've completed that session, I'll slide down into the low waist area and I'll do another 3-minute session right there. So in 12 minutes, I'm able to influence the neck, the upper chest, underneath the armpits, the chest itself, and down into the lower abdominal area, and I'm actually influencing the body this way. So while we're doing the large loop and we're affecting the body this way, now I'm affecting it this way. So again, the use of the long cord can be used in a variety of ways. It just depends upon how you want to influence the body, exercising the cells, the nerves, and the muscles. And again, it all comes down to your flexibility and how you want to do it. At times, I have worked with folks that have had groin issues, a lot of athletes from time to time. And when you work with athletes, and they have, say, a groin pull as an example, one of the things that helps is to take an elastic wrap and you pull that groin muscle up so it's snug. Well, we can do the same thing with this, where we can pull it up snug into the groin, wrap it around the hip area, come back underneath the leg and pull it up again. And as long as we can get 3 times here and 3 times around the waist, we're able to influence this whole groin and pelvic area and the low back and the hip area at the same time. So we're able to do a couple different things simply by taking this around, coming back over the hip, and again, back up through the leg again. And again, you remember, I want to get 3 influences here. So again, I can affect the groin, the hips, the low abdominal area. Now that's pretty much it in the chair right now for the long cord. Again, you just have to get a little bit creative. From time to time, you may discover different ways that you'll find that this long cord can be effective. You'll find different ways that the big loop can be more effective. You'll find different ways that the butterfly loop or the double loop can be more effective. You need to use your own creativity, but yet use what we can show you here as a guide on how you want to use it to create the center of influence in the parts of the body that you want to influence the most. If I had to pick one that I use probably the most, would probably be the butterfly. Simply because it allows me more flexibility to get into the lower extremities, to get into the upper extremities, to get around the head, to work around specific body parts in the body that I want to create an influence on. So again, you get creative, you have fun. With that, we're going to move over into the table and we're going to show you different ways to use the different attachments on a table. What we want to do now is we want to show you how to use the large loop or the big loop with somebody who possibly may be laying on a table. This is just a regular massage table, could be a chiropractic table, could be your couch, could be your bed at home. Gosh, we don't know. But again, the use of it is basically the same thing as we did in the chair. Again, I want to plug it in, line the holes, turn it to the right till it snaps and locks in place. line it up the holes, turn it to the right, till it snaps and locks in place. I can hit my power button on. I did double check my intensity to make sure it was turned down, so I'm good to go. Now let's say for an example that I want to create an influence in the lower hip region. If you'd lift your, just roll over a little bit, I can set that big loop right here. Now lay back down, right there, and I now can do a 3-minute session and I can influence this whole pelvic region coming this way. If I want to do the same thing in low back, I can go this way, lay back down. I can do it that way. I can again affect that whole lower pelvic region, the whole low back region coming this way. Keep in mind that's a 3-dimensional approach to the body, and I'm exercising all the cells, the muscles and the nerves, everything in that lower abdominal area, and I'm coming this way. Lean forward. If I want to work from the top coming down, I can simply lay here. Now my influence is going down this way. If I want to work the lower abdominal pelvic region from the top going down, now I'm going down and I'm affecting it this way. So in 12 minutes, right there, you just seen 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here. I've affected that whole hip region, that whole lower pelvic region, and the whole abdominal region, and the low back region, and I'm affecting it this way, and I've done that now just in 12 minutes. If I want to work on the stomach area, I can lay it across there, and I can do 3 minutes. If you'd roll over again, if I want to work on, okay, lay back down. If I want to work on that upper region again, I can go underneath it, and I can work this way now for 3 minutes. So in 6 minutes, I've gone both ways. If you'd roll over again. If I want to work on, stick your arm through. If I want to work on the upper chest region, I can do so there. Now my influence is going this way. And again, I'm going to run on a 3-minute cycle. I can do the same thing on the other side with the other arm. And again, we'll affect the whole upper chest region this way. And again, it's a 3-minute cycle. If I want to work on the upper back, if you just lift up, lay back down. Right there now, I'm working on that whole upper back area, and I'm coming through the body this way. Again, it's a 3-dimensional pulse that's causing cellular exercise, where we're exercising all the muscles and the nerves and everything through the body this way. Sit up. If I want to affect the chest, again, I can do a 3-minute session just like that and affect the chest. If I want to work around the neck, lift your head. I can do this way, hold it. I can do a 3-minute session, and I can work right around the neck, and I can affect everything in this whole upper region here, and I'm going this way. If I want to change that center of influence, I'll have him hold it here if you'd lean up. More. I want to catch this on the back. There, lay back down. Now I've changed my center of influence, and I'm now working this way on the body as I'm doing that 3-minute session. Another way that I can do this, if you'll give me your leg, your right leg, put your leg through. I want to work on the lower hip, the lower pelvic region. Lift your fanny up just a little bit, get it right up underneath the buttocks and hold it snug in there. Now again, I'm affecting that whole groin area. I'm affecting this whole pelvic region, and again, it's cellular exercise. As I do a 3-minute session and I complete it, then what I might want them to do is have them put the leg up and again do another 3-minute session. After that's completed, I'll hit the start button again and I'll have them slowly work this leg through range of motion like that in another 3-minute session. So in 9 minutes, I've been able to influence that whole pelvic region by treating here for 3 minutes, by putting the foot up and influencing it there for 3 minutes, and again now by working through range of motion for 3 minutes. So in 9 minutes, I'm able to do a lot of things in that low hip, low back area. Okay? And again, I can do the same thing with the other leg. Now, it really does me no good to take the arm and try and wrap that in the arm, because I'm taking something in a small area that I want to treat and I'm trying to affect it with a big loop, and it can't do that effectively. I do not want you to take the loop and make a butterfly, because you potentially could disrupt or damage the influence that's created here with our magnetic field within our coil. So again, we simply want to work on big parts of the body. We want to cellularly exercise larger areas of the body. Think about what parts of the body that you most directly want to influence. How do you want to influence those parts of the body? And so again, using the large loop, you can affect it in a variety of ways. Your center of influence is used in other ways as well. Okay, put your arm back down, lift up. Now again, I can also affect, and we showed you this earlier sitting in the chair, and how to work around that back region. I'm doing the same thing simply by laying down. One of the most effective things that I like to do with this when I'm working on myself is I like to lay down, and I'll do a 3-minute treatment with this around my neck like we did here laying down, and then I'll go to bed. And I guarantee you I sleep like a rock. So again, it's very relaxing. Again, you only want to turn the intensity up, and we'll do this to you one time. You ready? You can feel it right there. He said that's good. So he didn't get it up very much, but he can feel it. So again, we always turn the intensity up based upon a person's comfort level. You never want to get this up too high so it's uncomfortable. If you reach a point where that intensity is uncomfortable, simply turn it back down to the right a little bit. Okay? We want it to be therapeutic. We want it to be cellular exercise. We don't want it to be something that's uncomfortable for the person getting the use of the magnetic field that we're creating here. Again, remember, this is a 3D approach. It's completely going through the body, and an easy way to see how that effect takes place is simply hold it over the body itself. In other words, I could hold it over my backside, and you could actually see my abdominal area is moving, and that's simply because that 3D effect is coming all the way through the body. So again, we can do it with just about anybody. The key to it is to work on 9 to 12 minute cycles. Make sure that the intensity they feel, the pulse that they feel, they can feel it, but also make sure that it's comfortable. Okay? With that, we're going to go into the butterfly loop. We're going to show you how to use it on a table. What we want to do now is just one more follow-up on the butterfly attachment and how you can use that to influence the body and use it accordingly with somebody that maybe is sitting on a table. And again, it plugs in the same way. I line the holes up, turn it to the right, snap it in place, make sure my intensity is turned to the right, turn the power on, and I'm ready to go. Now again, if I want to work on the foot area, and again, remember previous, this is the knot or the joint, and again, I put it on the back of the foot and I work accordingly. And again, I use my tie or my Velcro to snug it in place. Again, I work on the back of the heel. I work up the back of the leg, up to the calf. So I can really put this on and actually let it go to work as I want to in 3-minute cycles. Again, around the knee, put your knee down. I can work on the upper calf area. I like to work on the kneecap onto the inside of it, which is here. I also like to work on the kneecap to the outside of it. I can turn it, work on it this way, and I can turn it, work on it this way. Working around the hamstrings, the quads. Again, I can work on the quad muscle this way. If you would lift your leg up a little bit, I can put it underneath the leg, and I can work right on the hamstring. If I want to work on the lower abdominal areas, I can do it here. I can do it here. They can actually lay down on the table. They can hold it across their lower abdominal area. Again, I can work on the shoulder. I can work on the neck, the chest, the upper torso. I can do just about anything on a table that I did in a chair, but a lot of times it may be easier for you to work with somebody in a chair than actually on a table. I do want to have you lay down for just 1 minute though, because one of the things that we do talk about, and we've mentioned many, many times, is cellular exercise. Now again, keep in mind when we're working around the torso area or around the neck, if you've got fine jewelry on, a credit card, cell phone, or car keys in your pockets, again, we advise that you take them out. One of the things that I do like to do though is when I can lay down here is I like to lay this over my abdominal area, and I'll do a 3-minute session. Then what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll hit the green button and I'll start a second 3-minute session. But what I will do is I will just come up in a slight crunch and I'll lay back down. And all I want to do is tighten. You keep doing that. All I want to do is tighten the abdominal muscles just very carefully, very casually, so that I'm exercising the cellular area and I'm exercising the abdominal muscles too. Great little workout that you can accomplish in 6 to 9 minutes just simply by influencing those abdominal muscles. But again, by laying, you can again lay the double loop, let it work on its session as it needs to go. You can lay it on the body. You can work on it as you want it to work. And again, it's unattended. This type of use, this type of influence that we're creating on the body, if you want to sit back up, is very non-invasive. And you notice through this whole process that nobody had to take their clothes off. Yeah, working around the foot, we remove the shoe. Do we have to? No, you can leave the shoe right on if you want to. We do that many, many times. But again, this is a very non-invasive type of three-dimensional effect that we're creating on the body. 9 to 12 minutes. Keep it simple. Think about how you want to influence the body with this type of therapy, with this type of approach that you want to take. Again, do I want to affect the body this way? Do I want to affect the body this way? Am I looking to affect the body this way? The more ways that you can affect the body in a short period of time, the more effective that your time spent doing this type of use and three-dimensional approach to the body, the more effective it can become.